Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Julie Lerner. She's the founder and CEO of PanX Exchange. We're going to learn about the first institutional grade industrial hemp exchange. Julie, it's great to finally have you with me.
Great to see
at MarketSite. And give us more context around the growth of the hemp market. Why is it such an exciting space to be in?
So it's exciting for so many reasons. This thing has only become legal with the Farm Bill that passed just before Christmas in 2018. So I have to give a shout out to my team because by January we had the first suite of market prices in hemp. It is a very key agricultural product that I think is going to be here for the long term in the US. Right now all the hype is around CBD products. So that's biomass, that's crude oil, and then the more refined part is isolates and distillates. Singular. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface about the industrial side of this market: rope, clothing, paper, hempcrete, hemp plastics, feed markets. So I think it's here to stay, and it's a very exciting growth space.
So you deal with a lot of hemp farmers. Are they facing any issues, and how will this launch help them?
Tremendous issues, not just the farmers, the whole supply chain. So first of all, hemp looks exactly like cannabis, and it smells exactly like cannabis. The only way to tell the difference, which is 0.3% THC or less, it's hemp, and that's done in a lab. So we've already heard stories about some of our client base. One of them had a truck pulled over, 18,000 pounds of hemp in a small town. They thought this was the biggest drug bust they've ever had. And their guys went to jail. I mean, it was serious for a little while there. That's an issue. The isolate is so high value, and it trades in kilos. Sometimes it goes through these air shippers, and it goes missing. Is another issue. But the big thing here is that it's so new to everyone. So even if you're an experienced farmer, you probably have not been growing it at the commercial volumes. Some of the farmers are completely new. The farming equipment is new. The processing equipment is new. So there are going to be some kinks in the road this crop year.
Do you think with the Farm Bill enabling the hemp boom, are the various players that are involved in this space, are they all legit?
We're trying to help figure that out. And so one of the things we had to do in our trading rules and our user agreement was figure out a fair process to vet people when there's no credit history. And so we've come up with that in the user agreement, and for example, asking for your articles of incorporation, your electricity bills, permission for site visits, and referrals by your trading partners, and we will check up on you. So I think we bring three things to this industry immediately. So we had the benchmark price in the first month of January. 3 months later, we had investors saying, I've seen your prices in a deck of an investment I'm looking at. I mean, it's serious. So we bring the price transparency. We're bringing that market structure saying, okay, well, these players have passed our criteria as far as a serious player who has given us all the requirements we've asked for. And then the market access, because as I mentioned, all those things that go wrong, we've got the instant connection to the buyers and sellers to figure out that physical deal flow that they need.
Well, now what about derivatives? Do you think there'll be any interest in futures? And of course, I would imagine PanX Exchange will fit into that.
Yeah, we've actually already been approached by a couple different exchanges asking about our benchmarks. We are actually headed in that direction as soon as possible, because a good derivative contract is based on a robust physicals market and a reliable benchmark price. So we're getting all of that set up. That's where our client base price hedges. And you can't have a robust derivative market unless you've got something that the hedgers can use.
Right. Now let's talk about commodity markets in general. What do you think equity traders might not understand?
About hemp?
Just about commodity markets in general, how they're very different from traditional equity trading.
I think the first thing to understand and what differentiates PanExchange from other sites that attempt to go online is that physical commodities are a series of one-offs, in the sense that there's no depth of field because every deal is pretty different and every aspect affects price. What is the quality? How much CBD is involved in this biomass? Are you going to come get it from my farm, or do you want me to deliver it to you? Do you want me to deliver it by truck or by rail? How do you want to price it? What is the shipment window of this? Everything and the payment terms, all of it is negotiable. And on our site, it is a true negotiation. It's not a bulletin board where these vetted clients can anonymously have that discussion. Shipment window almost works, but can you move it back by a week, for example?
Right.
And of course, negotiate price and location.
All right, let's talk about you because your career is so interesting. You went from trading and now you're running a tech company for all intents and purposes. What's that like?
Some people mistake me for a techie, so it can be surreal at times. I walked into a meeting and my CTO had just the entire wall of whiteboard and silos and flow charts, and I was like, David, what are you creating? He says, that's our system. And you know, from his perspective, it was exactly what I look at on the front end of it. So I'm very blessed to have a really qualified team because I designed it in words and pictures. And said, hey, can you make it do this? This is what we needed to do. And they've always stepped up and said, yes, we can do it.
That sounds like the question I would ask.
Yeah.
I'm happy being on the front end.
Words and pictures.
To wrap up here, any do-overs, or are you happy with the way things have progressed?
Yeah, I think the funding has been the biggest challenge towards our growth. I would have loved to move faster, and right now we've proven this technology. As you know, each time we've launched, we spoke after Africa, we spoke after the frac sand launch. We have proven that we provide the infrastructure, the technology, the scalability. We're ready to commercialize fast. So that's the one thing that I guess my biggest frustration point that I wish I could go faster on.
All right. Well, it's so great to have you with the Market Site. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Joe Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.